Thank you all. This is really exciting for me. I've actually never given a talk to anyone but academics, and you all are all future academics, just in uniform, so this is really interesting. I'm Amrita, and I am a professor in the sociology department at University of Cape Town. So I think Rory wants me to talk to you about the movement I started, but Rory, how many minutes are you giving me to do this?
So how fast?
Half an hour. Okay. All right. So let's start with what, and I don't want any of you to overthink this. This is a question open to anybody who identifies as human. So it's not just for girls in this room. I want you to, are they allowed to scream? Just yell out the first word that comes to your mind when you think of walking alone in the streets of Cape Town at night. So you're walking alone in the streets of Cape Town. Raise your hand and then I'll call on you. Raise your hand if you want to say your word. Yes, go ahead.
Scary.
Scary.
Depression.
Depression. Danger.
Fear.
Fear.
Yes.
Death. Oh wow. Yeah. Louder. Bad guys. Sure. Assault. Okay. Very sobering ones, yes. Anybody else? No? No other words that come to your mind when you think of walking alone in the streets? Yeah. Kidnapping. Okay. More. Throw out words at me. Yeah. Rape. Yes, ma'am? Anxiety. Yeah. Stress. Getting mugged. Run.
Pedophiles.
Pedophiles.
If I'm walking with the keys, if I'm holding my keys correctly, or making sure that I stick to the main roads.
Good detailed one, yeah, sure. Totally, I think a lot of us would identify with that. Go ahead, Rory, since I only know your name.
Watch my back.
Watch your back. Anybody else? Yes? Appearance. Okay.
Like you might be thinking about like how you like appear to others.
Okay, how you appear to others, yeah. So what's the gaze on you? Yes. Yes? Catcall. Interesting. Yes?
I'm going to be honest, I kind of just don't go out at night because of like everything that's said.
Yes, I think that would be for everyone. I don't think any of you have walked alone at night at midnight. Have you? Has anybody been walking around on the streets of Cape Town at midnight alone? As long as you're discussing walking alone at midnight and nothing else, and not a TikTok video, it's all good. So my idea behind the Women Walk at Midnight in South Africa emerged exactly from conversations like this. So in any room in South Africa, in fact not just in South Africa, in many countries in the global south, or what we used to call developing world once upon a time, one of the words we use now, one of the labels we use now is global south. If you stand in a room filled with men, women, boys, girls, and anyone in that continuum, and you ask the question, what is the first word that comes to your mind when you think of walking a city alone at night? Keywords being alone, walking, city, midnight. The answers are going to be very similar. On the other hand, when you close your eyes, forget South Africa, forget everything that you've heard about around violence and crime. Imagine the night. And imagine standing alone at night. I would think the words that come to your mind are moonlight, stars, chirping crickets, breeze, peace, stars. I already said stars. Shooting stars. Things that you think of when you go camping, right? When you go camping, there's a campfire. The night seems cozy. It seems peaceful. It seems like a really comforting, appealing space. But when we walk our cities at night alone, especially as girls and women, and I'll talk to a little bit in a bit about this specialness, somehow these words of joy and pleasure never ever come to our mind. And that is the basic feeling why I started this movement. If we as human beings, if you all as human beings do not have a right over joy and pleasure in walking your own cities at night, who does? Why did somebody take away that pleasure out of our hands? And we can do what we want to try and fix that by having police, having security. But at the end of the day, we want to keep asking ourselves, what can we do as just citizens, younger or older, to take back the night, to reclaim the night, to reclaim the joy in the night? And very simple, nothing big about this idea, but I thought about it, and the more I thought about it, the more I realized I need to do something about it. And I have lived, as probably you can tell from my accent, we think everybody has accents, that I am not Cape Townian. I was born in Delhi in India. Delhi, India is a sister or a brother city to Cape Town. Extremely violent, especially as far as gender-based violence goes. It's a very violent city. When I was growing up, I could never reclaim the night, much as I can't reclaim the night alone in Cape Town. From there, from Delhi, I moved to the United States for a while. I lived in a little cocoon in Harvard University where I could happily walk the night and didn't even feel like reclaiming because it was so normal to walk in midnight. Then from there, I moved to Tripoli in Lebanon. Same feeling again. The night was taken away from me. I could never walk the streets of Tripoli at night as a woman, as a black woman, especially in Lebanon. I then moved to Cape Town for my job at University of Cape Town. Some places I was not even allowed to reclaim the streets in the day. There are many parts of Cape Town where we won't even dare, especially the ones who identify as femme or women here, we won't even dare to walk those streets in the day. Even the day was taken away from us. So in 2022, so last year in August, I started thinking and reading about it, and I realized that there was a movement called Women Walk at Midnight in India. And it so happens that it was run by a feminist artist who I had done theater with about a decade ago. So I got in touch with her and I said, I want to start this in South Africa. What do I do? And she said, just start it. So I said, okay, that's not very helpful, but all right. So I spread the word. I spoke to 5 of my friends from the university and I said, spread it to 5 more people. Each person speak to 5 more friends, all women or femme identifying humans. So that it's not just about me, it's just not about my friends walking together in a club. That's not the point. And I'll speak to you in a little bit about the few rules we have in this movement. So the first walk was in August 2022 in Observatory. Do you guys know where Observatory is? So it's quite close to here. It's a southern suburb. It's a middle class, I would say middle class, upper middle class southern suburb, primarily white still, with a lot of unhoused people. So people who are on the streets. We do have a lot of those people in observatory. Lots of cafes, lots of bars. Not so much activity at midnight though. August 2022, when we did the walk, ESCOM failed us, as always it does, and it was load shedding. We gathered around a cafe at around 10 o'clock at night, and all electricity gone. So it was pitch dark. There were just 22 women that night, the first walk, and we walked over bridges, by the Liesbeck River, by the main road. At some points there was nobody around us. At other points there were lots of men around us on main road. So we walked from between 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock at night. Then we stood in a public space on the main road near observatory, and we chatted as to what were the highlights of the walk, what was the low light of the walk, if there's something called low light, what were the low points of the walk. And some of the lessons we learned from that walk was, we can do it. When we do it as a group, we can do it. Do we feel safe? Does the body, the muscle memory of our body, of the anxiety that we've all carried for so many years that we should not walk at night, does that go away? No, it doesn't. We still keep looking behind our back, but I'm going to tell you only the really beautiful moments of that night. So when we started walking, 22 women in a line, walking over the bridge, pitch dark, only the clouds, the moon, and the stars on top. All you could hear, and I had video recordings and audio recordings of that, all you could hear was in the beginning anxious giggles of women like everyone was anxious, like what is going to happen. Then after about 5 minutes, you start getting confident. Oh, nothing has happened. Then you start chatting. So what's your name? Oh, where are you from? Okay, you're from this place. Have you ever walked at night? Then after some point you say, why do we only talk about walking at night? Then you start talking about what was the last book you read. You start talking about your partner. You're talking about dating. Then it becomes literally like people who've forgotten that they are women walking the streets of the most violent country, which is not going through war. South Africa is notoriously known as the rape capital of the world. We were 22 women walking without remembering that they are predators, that they are men, they are rapists, they are muggers. Middle of the night, literally 12 a.m. And we walked by the bus rank near Mowbray. And if you guys know anything about that area, you don't even walk there in the mornings. And we did that, 22 women at night. Now, that was beautiful, that was all romantic, loved it. Then the word started spreading. The word spread, we started doing walks every month. And it's not a club, it's not the same group of women walking. So the way this works is, and I said that there are some rules to the game. One is that it's only open to people who identify as women or femme. Again, I hope we'll have a little bit of time. Oh yeah, we'll save some time for questions, because that's also a lesson that we are learning slowly. What do we mean by men are not allowed, and why do we do that? So that's a really important question to be answered and thought about here. Well-meaning men, well-meaning partners, well-meaning brothers always want to join the walk. It's not because we want to exclude anyone, no. It's because women and girls face an intersectional or multiplied level of violence and fear in many parts of the world. And I think you know that, right? So one of the many surveys have been done with men and women. Men in South Africa also feel only anxiety when they walk alone in the middle of the night. But what are they most anxious about? About getting mugged, right? They feel for their personal property and their life. When you ask women what are they most worried about? Rape. So you can it's not like they're not worried about getting mugged. They're also worried about getting raped. And the first thing that often comes to their mind is the worry about getting raped, although they do know that they'll probably also get mugged. So this is what we call intersectionality. and I'm going to talk a little bit more about intersectionality to you, that what you are a woman or a girl, you are, or maybe you're non-binary, you are black or colored or Indian or white. So there's something that happens around crime because of the race that you identify as, something that happens around whether you identify as girl, boy, femme, or somewhere in the middle. It depends on where you're walking, whether you're walking the streets of Sea Point at midnight or walking the streets of Tsampo village in Khairija, right? I'm sure that makes sense, that the same kind of fear and anxiety won't hit you if you're walking the streets of Sea Point Promenade as it would if you were walking Khairija at night. So that was another point that I wanted to be at the center of this movement, is that it's for women from all neighborhoods. It's not tourism. It's not like they are these group of 16 middle-class white women who want to roam around the streets and see Cape Town and walk their dogs. That's not the point. The point is that as the word spreads, women from different neighborhoods who have never been able to walk their own streets, their own neighborhood streets at night, and they want to, they send me a WhatsApp or an email saying, I and my friend Abida want to invite you to walk Bokap at midnight. Then I say, that's a fantastic idea, let's do it. What date will work for you? And they give me a date. Then they arrange. So for instance, is there anybody, I met someone from Westerford who joined my walk at Bokap. Yes, there you are. Would you want to talk a little bit about it? No? You can think about it, and maybe you just raise your hand if you feel like talking about it. So Bokap we walked last Friday, was it? Yeah, last Friday we walked Bokap, and the way Bokap worked was the way it works every month, which is women from Bokap said they want to walk the neighborhood at night, at midnight, and they would want us to walk with them at midnight, and they chose Friday because it's the celebratory prayer night. They had arranged for cook sisters for us and bhajis for us. I had expected it'll be about 40 women, which it is usually, but it turned out to be 84 women who wanted to walk the streets of Bokap at midnight. We turned up there. It was a beautiful moonlit night. There was lots of food. We grabbed food, we walked around, we walked the streets, we climbed up the hill, went to the highest point in Bokap. But Bokap has a feel which is not that scary, I would think. Bokap is quite a touristy place. Most of us who have visited Cape Town as tourists would have heard of Bokap. Have any of you walked the streets of Bokap in the day? Yes, I thought so. Quite a few of us have walked the streets of Bokap in the day. Some of you probably live in Bokap day and night. So Bokap doesn't feel like such so the gaze towards Bokap was not one of intense anxiety. It was beautiful because it was hosted by the neighboring Auntie Abida and Auntie etc. who took a lot of pain and affection to host us there. Now I'm going to give you a contrast one of the one we did in, I'm going to stop talking in a couple of minutes because I want you to ask questions and chat. A contrasting one was the one we did in Tsampo village in Khairija. We were invited by two absolutely wonderful, powerful women who run the Khairija cycling club. So they run a cycling club only for girls, high school girls. And the point of that cycling club is that they want to be able to use cycle as a mode of transport. Girls should be able to use it as a mode of transport to go to school. Also, on weekends, they want to be able to see the city. So they sometimes now cycle from Tsampo village and other parts of Khairija. Khairija is huge. It's almost like a city in itself. So they cycle from one part of Khairija, sometimes even to the waterfront. Now the girls, they know how to cycle, they learned how to cycle, they were given cycles, and now they cycle all across. They also go to Stellenbosch on their cycle. So cycling has become a mode of transport for them. But of course, they never cycled at midnight. So they wanted us to come to Thasampo village and walk Khalicha at midnight. And that created a lot of anxiety, as you can guess. A lot of women walkers wrote to me and said, I think it's a really bad idea. Let's not go to Khalicha. Why do we want to take the extra risk? But the point of the walk is to naturalize the fact that women can walk the night anywhere they want to. The point is not to choose the safest place and start walking there, because then what's the point? If you want to reclaim the night, if you want to naturalize women being in public spaces, and let me take a second there and give you a little bit of politics now. The reason why people find it so unusual when they see women walking at night on the streets is because historically women's space in the world has been constructed as to stay at home. Even though lots of women from working classes, from many races have never had the privilege to not be out working, but still in our imagination women are constructed as housewives. It's not true at all. Across the world, many women go into public spaces. Many women need to go, need to work, want to work. But yet there's this construction, this image of women staying in the intimate private space. And as soon as this kind of image is constructed, what happens when a woman goes into a public space at night? She becomes either a victim, a potential victim, or a potential transgressor. So she's doing something that is disruptive. So the point of Women Walk at Midnight is to disrupt many things. Is to disrupt the fact that women need to be at home. Is to disrupt the fact that public space is only for men. Is to disrupt the fact that night should be devoid of activities. If more and more women and men walk on the streets at night, the more and more women and men will walk the streets at night because they'll feel safer. So this is another lesson that we learned while walking. So I just came from, we couldn't see the PowerPoint, but that's fine, doesn't matter. I just came from, I was invited to give a talk in Kigali in Rwanda in what is called the Walk 21 conference. It's a huge conference attended by mayors and transport ministers and NGO activists from about 50 different countries. And all the agenda of that conference is to make policies to make cities walkable. Because at the moment, all policies are made around cars, keeping cars in mind. Roads are built keeping cars in mind. What if we put that, inverted that, put it on its head and said cities should be made, roads should be made keeping walkers in mind. So that's what the conference is about. And the past couple of years, Kigali in Rwanda has become a leader at that, because Kigali is trying to become a city which is mostly just walkable. Might be a surprise to some of you, but Kigali is an extremely pedestrian friendly and walkable city. So what that conference tries to do is tries to make us think, why do we want to depend on cars as a mode of transport when we are trying to save the environment, when we know so many people can't afford cars, and walking is healthy, right? So there are so many advantages to that. So I was at that conference, and I have no idea why I started telling you the story about the conference, because now I've forgotten. It'll come to me. But I'll tell you quickly now, the rules of the game are only open to, rules of the movement only open to humans who identify as women or femme. Men not allowed, because if men join the walk, then they feel like they become the protector. The only safety mechanism we have in the walk is the collective. So women being present as a collective is our safety mechanism. We do not allow police protection. The police always want to protect us. We never take their protection. Neighborhood security neighborhood watch always want to escort us. We never allow them to escort us. The whole point is women have the right to walk their own cities at midnight, and they will do it with joy. We've done it 11 walks now, ranging from Langa to Khayelitsha to Mowbray to Observatory to Musenberg to Retreat. to Woodstock, and I forget the others, but many different neighborhoods. Men have played a role. Men have always played the role of comrades. They've cheered us on whenever they've met us. They've asked questions out of curiosity. They've wanted to walk on the other side of the pavement just to protect us. We've told them very nicely that we appreciate their gesture, but they should not try to protect us. Police, as I said, have always tried to protect us, but the point is, to keep it natural, we are not going to be protected by the state or by our male comrades. We as women and girls are going to walk the city at midnight by ourselves and see what then we can say to policymakers about things that they need to change for us to be allowed to do this, for us to be able to do this safely. So I'm going to stop there, and I see I have a couple of more minutes if you want to talk and ask questions. It's open to, as I said, not just women but also girls and anybody who identifies as femme. Yes, Rory, you had your hand first. Go
I was
ahead.
just wondering, has there been any situation where you felt unsafe or there's been an incident?
There have been many times where we felt unsafe because I don't want to romanticize this walk. It is still walking in Cape Town at midnight as a group of women. There was one moment in Langa that comes to my mind immediately. We always have a route in mind, so I always do a safety check in the morning and I do the walk with the co-host from the neighborhood. So the Langa women walk with me. We check out where the lights are, where the shadows are, where the unhoused people are, where should we run to, where is the nearest police station in case something happens. So I do a lot of safety check. Despite that, what happened that night is that we were walking a residential lane where an act of intimate violence had just happened. So there was domestic violence, and a male partner had violently assaulted his wife or girlfriend. And the police was involved, and it was really not the best space for us. We had to change the route completely. But what that means is that we had to walk in streets that we had not planned to walk. It increased anxiety. It took us to spaces where there were no lights. But we still did it, but with our hearts a little bit more in our mouths than we usually have. So our hearts are never in our mouths in these walks because we are so many walking together. Go ahead.
How can we find out about like upcoming walks for you?
So there we have, I say we, but actually it's just me who organizes everything. But there's an Instagram page, and I'm very technophobic. So that's why at the moment, I've been able to understand how to do Instagram. So we have an Instagram page called Women Walk at Midnight SA. Yeah, so if you go to Instagram and go Women Walk at Midnight SA, you'll see all our pictures, all the posters for the next event. And also in the information of that group, you'll see a WhatsApp group that you can join yourself. And probably that's the best way to get information. We have it on a monthly basis, but we never announce where it's going to happen till a woman agrees at the walk. So at the Woke Up Walk, a woman agreed to take us to Heart Bay next time. So she lives in Heart Bay, she's going to find a co-host and they're going to host us in Heart Bay. So this is how it rolls. Someone at the walk wants to take us to the neighborhood and they devise that. There was a hand up there.
Do you carry any form of like safety items like tasers or anything like that?
So that's one thing that I always put in the WhatsApp. That's a good question, that there is no safety mechanism here. There's no police, as I said. So do what you need to do to feel safe. If you need to tell your partner what the route is and tell your parents what the route is. So you need to take care of your own protection and keep your mind at peace. But at the same time, remember that there are at least 40 to 80 or maybe 100 at the next walk, women who will be walking as a collective with you, and all of us are walking together as comrades who will keep each other safe. So that's the safety mechanism. None of us usually end up carrying anything at all because we never need it. Any other thoughts or questions? You can get all our posters and all the little not the little, many videos, many pictures. Women suddenly start going, women and girls find parks and they start swinging. Men come and offer us lollipops and ice creams. It's only and only about joy and fun and taking back the night. Fundamentally political though. It cannot not be political, women walking at midnight in South Africa. So, but we do not raise slogans. It's not a march, it's not a protest. It's just doing something that we should have the right to do. Any other questions?
Last question.
Last question, last thought. Otherwise, feel free, men, women, girl, boys, somewhere in the middle continuum, to look into the Instagram and join us for the next walk. And come in a group, it'll be more fun.